St. Alphonsus on Mental Prayer continued. A reading from Volume 3 of the Complete Ascetical Works of St. Alphonsus, published by PCP Books. Volume 3, The Great Means of Salvation and Perfection. Get a discount on this text using the discount code MOC 2025. The time for mental prayer. We have here to consider two things, namely the time of the day most suitable for mental prayer and the time to be spent in making it. Number 1. According to St. Bonaventure, the morning and the evening are the two parts of the day which, ordinarily speaking, are the fittest for meditation. But according to St. Gregory of Nyssa, the morning is the most seasonable time for prayer because, says the saint, when prayer precedes business, sin will not find entrance into the soul. And the Venerable Father Charles Carafa, founder of the Congregation of the Pious Workers, used to say that a fervent act of love made in the morning during meditation is sufficient to maintain the soul in fervor during the entire day. Prayer, as St. Jerome has written, is also necessary in the evening. Let not the body go to rest before the soul is refreshed by mental prayer, which is the food of the soul. But at all times and in all places we can pray. It is enough for us to raise the mind to God and to make good acts, for this consists mental prayer. With regard to the time to be spent in mental prayer, the rule of the saints was to devote to it all the hours that were not necessary for the occupations of human life. St. Francis Borgia employed in meditation 8 hours in the day because his superiors would not allow him a longer time. And when the 8 hours had expired, he earnestly asked permission to remain a little longer at prayer, saying, give me another little quarter of an hour. St. Philip Neri was accustomed to spend the entire night in prayer. St. Anthony the abbot remained the whole night in prayer, and when the sun appeared, which was the time assigned for termination of his prayer, he complained of it having risen too soon. Father Balthazar Alvarez used to say that a soul that loves God when not in prayer is like a stone out of its center, in a violent state. For in this life we should, as much as possible, imitate the life of the saints in bliss, who are constantly employed in the contemplation of God. But let us come to the particular time which a religious who seeks perfection should devote to mental prayer. Father Torres prescribed an hour's meditation in the morning, another during the day, and a half-hour's meditation in the evening, when they should not be hindered by sickness or by any duty of obedience. If to you this appears too much, I counsel you to give at least 2 hours to mental prayer. It is certain that a half-hour's meditation each day would not be sufficient to attain a high degree of perfection. For beginners, however, this would be sufficient. Sometimes the Lord wishes you to omit prayer in order to perform some work of fraternal charity. But it is necessary to attend to what St. Lawrence Justinian says, quote, when charity requires it, the spouse of Jesus goes to serve her neighbor, but during that time she continually sighs to return to converse with her spouse in the solitude of her cell. End quote. Father Vincent Carafa, General of the Society of Jesus, stole as many little moments of time as he could and employed them in prayer. Mental prayer is tedious to those who are attached to the world, but not to those who love God only. Conversation with God is not painful nor tedious to those who truly love him. His conversation has no bitterness, his company produces not tediousness, but joy and gladness. Wisdom 8. Mental prayer, says St. John Climacus, is nothing else than a familiar conversation and union with God. In prayer, as St. Chrysostom says, the soul converses with God and God with the soul. No, the life of holy persons who love prayer and fly from earthly amusements is not a life of bitterness. If you do not believe me, taste and see that the Lord is sweet. Psalm 33. Try it, and you shall see how sweet the Lord is to those who leave all things in order to converse with him only. But the end which we ought to propose to ourselves in going to meditation should be, as has been said several times, not spiritual consolation, but to learn from our Lord what he wishes from us, and to divest ourselves of all self-love. To prepare yourself for prayer, says St. John Climacus, put off your own will. To prepare ourselves well for meditation, we must renounce self-will and say to God, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Lord, tell me what thou wishest me to do. I am willing to do it, and it is necessary to say this with a resolute will, for without this disposition the Lord will not speak to us.